Okay, here we are on ultra zoomed in Friday. That means my iPhone camera is ultra zoomed in, as you can see. And what you're looking at is a 4x6 canvas board, Winsor Newton, professional quality. And they're usually for painting, although it says any media. On some of these it says any media, acrylic. But hey, we don't care about that. We're going to do an experiment. So I like these because they're rigid. You draw on a small piece of paper, it can get easily ruined. So I've taped this down, and I'm going to go for it and just do an impromptu drawing. Now the trick with these canvas boards from trying them is unlike paper, the ink does not sink in very quickly. It does dry, but it usually takes, I tested 3 to 5 days. So that's going to add an element of challenge here to not smear it. We'll see. But it's a Friday before Labor Day, and I just felt like drawing, so I'm going to draw and do a quick piece of art here and see where I get to. And I've chosen to draw airplanes. Now it's a little challenging because I've taped this board down so it doesn't move in my ultra zoomed in mode. And I'm going to just have at it. I do have an image in mind that I want to see if I can capture a sort of vintage aircraft. Now this board is bumpier than the other ones I used last time, so immediately I've gotten myself into a challenge situation. And also my marker is not as lively as I wanted, so I've switched to a different one, which is even worse. This is what you get when you go live. Well, I'm dead live because I'm recording this, of course. So just bear with me. We'll be back to ultra zoomed in mode. Here, let's try this one. Maybe the art gods will cooperate. Well, that's fine. It's a little bumpy. When I tried this before, I had some of these canvas boards that were, there's another brand I was using that were a little smoother. But we'll just see where we get to. And I'll try and sketch this in without smearing anything. So I've got, this is like a wing of a sort of vintage plane. Steampunky sort of plane. This is some kind of bracing apparatus. And all right, I've got my wing, and I've got a certain perspective in mind. This would be a secondary cockpit behind, where you'd have like an observer just looking back. But I'm going to do the main cockpit over here in a few minutes. But I'm not doing that yet because being left-handed, I'm going to smear it if I draw there. So I think I'm stuck with the extra challenge, people, of trying to visualize this and draw it in out of the natural order I would draw it in. Normally I would probably work around in a natural flow to try and get the whole thing in, but as I said, I've got a bit of a challenge here, so let's stop complaining and keep drawing. I want some, I want the tail plane here, the rear stabilizer. I've got a major one there, and this will be like a minor one. And I'm thinking of the form and structure here. Damn, I've already smudged it. You see, I told you it was a challenge, but the smudge isn't too bad, so we'll work with it. In fact, we might even do a smudge style. See? I'm good for it, though. Of course, if it gets bad enough, I'll just I'll just delete the video, and then you'll never see it, which of course I probably won't do, because then you'd never hear me say that. You see, it's sort of meta. Now I'm being careful not to smear myself. That's like a bracing strut. I'm thinking of structure here, like I said in my other video. This would be an aileron to control the plane. Got my center line here at the back. There's a little kind of extension there, and then the rest of this one. Now, I need to work. I'm going to draw in a very strange, cramped way. This is what I get for being weird and drawing on canvas board. But like I said, the other one, the other brand, I guess you just learn as you go. The other brand was a little easier to work with. But we'll see. This is the tail wheel of the plane. It's kind of swung back up here because it's flying. It makes a kind of satisfyingly crunchy noise. And I guess we need the rudder action here. This would be the rudder there. Let's put a number on it. And gosh, the challenge of direct drawing. It's always fun. It's sort of like a bracing, refreshing opportunity to fail. Right? All right, now we need, I think we're going to have an engine exhaust going back here with some attachment points. Some kind of red hot exhaust there coming off the engine. Let's make it like, it's got some weird cylinder heads or whatever the heck those are. Listen, I'm not an engine guy particularly. I suppose I should have ultra researched that and baffled you with some BS, but that's as far as I know. If you look in the old planes, they do have multiple exhaust things. This is going to be the landing gear. The good thing for this small size is I can reach over and get to most of it without smearing it, as long as I keep paying attention. This would be like a light, thinking of structure, a light on the front of the landing pontoon here, whatever this is, that the wheel is attached to. This would be like a light. And you know, one thing I think that comes to mind to mention is people might ask, how do you get good at doing this? Is really that you have to learn not to care. Isn't that odd? Like you're supposed to care but not care. So what does Paul mean? Paul means do the best you can and do it with as great attention as you can muster, but not care if it fails. Like it means not being emotionally attached to the darn thing. It's just a piece of paper, in this case a fairly inexpensive canvas board. So if it doesn't work, I'm just going to chuck it. Now that's not always fun. You go to rats, it didn't work. But if you get past that barrier and you actually just accept that, that's really the gold, one of the golden secrets. You know, beginner artists are always looking for, like, what's the secret? What's the secret? So there's one secret, is the right kind of not caring. So don't care about failing, because it's only a temporary failure. And in fact, if you accept it, then it leads to more success because you learn something. And each time you go through that cycle, it's like a innovation cycle. You're going to learn a bit more, and then you're going to be able to, next time, do it a little better. It's kind of like going down different design pathways. Drawing planes or your favorite subject, drawing things from different angles. Each time you go through that cycle, if you make mistakes, you're going to remember next time, as long as you keep drawing. I mean, if you draw once a year, of course you're going to be like starting over each time. But if you draw somewhat frequently in a pattern, you are going to remember, like you made that mistake, your brain will alert and go, oh wait, don't do that, because last time I got my drawing into deep trouble. So you learn not to, you learn what are the bad habits that get you into trouble, and what are the things that are more successful. So that's all goes to studying how to learn. You study yourself while you draw. And as odd as that might sound to some people, it's just really, to me, the way it is. Unless you're, like I've said in other videos, unless you're some kind of natural genius where it just flows easily and never have to think about it, you know, great. But that was not my pathway, and it's probably not that of most people. Going back to this plane, I think we need to think here of what other elements do I want. Let's make some kind of big, funky exhaust thing. Keeping it fairly bold because, again, this canvas board is a little chunky for line work. Got the propeller here, the propeller spinner, and suggesting the propeller, the prop. Let's make it a little bigger because, of course, we have a little problem here for the technical-minded people. The landing gears, too high, the prop would touch down, although, yeah, even going straight. So maybe let's imply that the wheels retract somehow. So I've extended these two little lines, suggesting that maybe this entire pontoon drops down when they land. So this would be the retracted position. Now I've got the perspective here to think of, do I even see the other wing? I don't think so. If there's dihedral, which means the wings are like this, then the wing on the other side would not, well, would it show? See, it's really quite tricky. It's what you get when you do stuff out of your head and not using like CG, AI, DVD, or whatever else. And let's put a little guy here sitting there. His little head's popped up there. He's watching at the back. Doesn't even have a machine gun to defend himself, poor fellow. And that's for the sake of interest. Sometimes they had like radio wires. And sometimes they had like a bracing or a counter thing. That makes it more interesting. All right. Where are we going to go to now with this? I think we need an element here. You don't have to fill everything up, but let's keep the pattern going. After you do these for a while, you get sort of tropes that you can repeat, things you like. And I look at old photos of funky old aircraft for ideas. Usually not to directly copy, although occasionally I've looked at them intensely, but I like the idea of just inventing as I go. So what you do is you kind of stock up your imagination. You prime the pump, so to speak, by looking lots of photos and input and trying to remember it or note down mentally if you find something interesting. And then later it comes back out if you do that. It's kind of like if you're out walking and you don't have a sketchbook, but you're looking around and you see interesting people, faces, clothing, you know, costume elements, accoutrements like bags or whatever. You can note that down as an artist, even if you don't have a sketchbook. Of course, it's good if you do have a sketchbook. I'm looking to see where the other side of this would be. Yeah, so you note those things down, and then later you find that they come out. If you've sort of placed them in your head like squirrels running around placing acorns away for the winter. You squirrel away stuff in your head, and then later you find that it's there for it to come back out if you pay attention. And if you're an artist on that pathway, you're looking for that. Of course, you might get sidelong glances from random people who catch you staring, but then you just sheepishly say to them, "Hey, I'm just an artist. I can't help it," as you get arrested for creeping in the modern age. No, hopefully not. All right, I'm going to find the other side of this, like I said, this thing, because what I'm going to do to estimate where the other wheel would be, because there's not just one wheel, there's two wheels, is I'm going to follow this perspective down, and I'm going to think, okay, how far is the spacing? So I'm thinking kind of, depending on how much it's tipped, like that. So like if these are the two wheels, it's tipped over. So where's the other wheel going to be? It depends on how rolled over the aircraft is from our point of view. So I would say I'm going to just have to guesstimate, because there's no pencil roughs here. I'm going to guesstimate that. And then because the perspective is going this way, see how well I do here. Pretty tough. And let's get the other wheel in. And it's okay. It's the kind of thing that if I wasn't doing direct drawing, I'd probably modify later. Or when I scan these, I can always fix them up later. That's how I console myself from not caring. You remember I said a few minutes ago about not caring? I just go, hey, as long as I can get the thing done, then later if I need to, I can fix it up on the computer, do a scan and fix it up. If it's something I would want to use for something else or put on the internet or on my Instagram or whatever. But that itself illuminates one principle, which is basically just keep going. It's like march or die, don't stop. So I'm conjuring some clouds here, kind of getting us to the pilot, just as a compositional line. And then I want to sort of balance this. And I'm going to hold the pencil like this because I don't want to put my hand down and smear it. And it also helps my project of making bumpy cloud lines. I wonder if I have my gray markers around. I don't know. I don't see them here. Let me just, hold on, folks. Talk about lack of preparation, right? Who is this guy? He does videos and he just wings it. Oh well. Just wait until I do live streams. It'll be even funkier. There'll be no one to blame. Well, there's no one to blame right now. All right. What else am I going to put in here? See, I find this a little distracting, this shape. So I'm going to try and change this silhouette by adding more clouds and see if I can get myself out of trouble. The thing with doing things like clouds is they have a kind of structure or pattern, but it's always organic and naturalistic. And you have to try and like give it a certain rhythm. And again, that's the kind of thing you can walk around with your head up, sticking up like a, like I don't know, a Goomba, walking around looking at clouds, which I've done in the beaches here in Toronto. And then there's that old skyscraper joke, you know, where like someone stood at the base of, I think it was the Empire State Building or something in New York City, and they started looking up and pointing. I don't know if this is one of these apocryphal stories of dubious origin, but I think I read this somewhere, and it does kind of work. Like the person was looking up and they're like staring, and then a few more people wondered what they were noticed, and they wondered what the person was looking at. So then they started looking. And then before you know it, you had a huge crowd, and before you knew it, the whole huge crowd started pointing, saying, "There, he's going to jump, he's going to jump." And the whole thing became spiraling out of control. And of course, it was based on nothing. So it's very reminiscent of our times where you have these like mass delusions running through people. And how did I get there? I got there from talking about how sometimes I walk around looking at clouds because I'm a dreamy artist, and I'm going, what do clouds look like? How do I summarize that in cartoon form? And those are the kinds of things my brain occupies itself with, because hey, that's my chosen specialty, so I want to be good at it. And those are the things you end up thinking about, and then you realize that the people you admire, whether it be Alex Toth, Wally Wood, name your master, Joe Kubert, they must have done stuff like this, you know. Will Eisner, there's endless names of them, Alex Raymond. They must have been thinking of things like this because they figured out how to do these amazing cartoon worlds, drawings, and you hit these problems, you know, like how many lines? What should they look like? Should I put the darn line here or there? What looks better? What looks worse? Am I ruining it or saving it? So speaking of that, I'm almost done here. I got some upper clouds. What should I put over here? You know, I need something because it's a little unbalanced. I mean, I could just leave empty space. I could get away and finish this by just putting a couple of little birds or dots or something, but that's my usual cheat code, so I won't do that. You got to outfox your own bad habits or good habits. What what am I going to draw here? Kind of darken some of this in a bit. See how that's looking? It's looking a lot rugged there, Paul. Let's see if this helps. It's a wedgy, thicker marker that I've got. It's almost giving me like a gray tone on this canvas board. I'm gonna have to put this in the drying kiln for like a week or something and not touch it. Forget about it. Find it 5 years later, moldering away with cobwebs. Let's put a few shadows here. This marker is not going down on this onto this paper very well, but part of it is just experimenting, figuring out a technique. That's the fun, it's playing. Just like a kid, you know, messing around. As long as you're not doing something dangerous, like playing with like plugs or something, you know, this is just art materials. Pull a contrast there. Your eye goes to where the contrast is. Basic principles. Let's put some far shadows on this strut. And let's put some more roundness. I stopped talking because my brain beach balls. More roundness on the bottom of this. All right, I think that's probably enough. Otherwise, we're gonna risk messing it up. This can just be some texture, like, and I'll put a little shadow under these pipes. These are like exhaust pipes from the what am I at? 22 minutes of drawing on a piece of canvas board. The lunatic approach. All right, gonna close out this attempt. That kind of works, go around the form with it. This marker is sort of half dry, so it's actually making a nice gray tone there when I do that. As I said, this is a completely winged experiment because I bought these extra canvas boards at the art store the other day for inking, but these are rougher, like I said at the beginning. I might turn more of these, though, into paintings, or do ink wash paintings, line and do line and diluted ink, like India ink. I'm finding that if this marker's a little dry, and if I just drag it flat, because it's kind of flat, you see, it's one of these chisel cut, what is it called, a number 3 graphic 3 Pigma archival ink. It's got the flat cut edge, which is nice on paper. Here it kind of is interesting to mess around with to make this kind of a bit of a gray tone. I'm running this tone up from the edge to distinguish it from this part of the fuselage. Oh yeah, I never did finish over there. What am I going to put over there? Well, let's try some. I could either do some more cloud banks or maybe a distant mountain. Let's do some distant mountains. That implies destination, exotic adventures, mountain ranges receding into the far distance. And let's do some distant cloud lines here. just to give us something, bring our eye back in here and giving us some depth. Like these are super far cloud lines. And what I'm doing in the phase now, what am I at? 25 minutes, that's not bad, it's not too long. The phase now is usually I just kind of slow down and have a good look at it and try and like gather my thoughts and see if I kind of go like, what would I think if I look at this tomorrow? See if anything jumps out at me that I can add or fix. And it's kind of delicate because I don't want to go overboard, but you also don't want to go underboard. Is that a word? Underboard. That's too little. Because there definitely is a thing either way. Like you can go too far and add too many details and spoil it, which I've done many times. You can also go too little and just be missing something crucial. That later the next day you'll look at it and you'll kind of groan and go, why didn't I see that? So what you're trying to do is see that beforehand right now. And if you can do that and find those things, then you're ahead of the game. And you've got that kind of oversight or insight, you could call it. See, right now I realized I forgot a bit of shading on this rounded form of this spinner. So, and you can never make it perfect, but you try and make it finished enough. I think I might just put a sun here, suggest, because it feels like it needs something. So I'm just using dotted lines. I don't think I'll sign it. I'll sneak in and sign it here. So there you go. That's just a 4x6 sketch card. Fun. What's that? Half an hour of drawing practice? Keeps your drawing brain alive. And drawing brain is different than normal brain. Normal brain, you might just drift around and go, oh, gee, I don't know. Let's watch something on TV, or let me look at the latest tweet stream, see who's fighting with who today on X, on the Eloin platform. But when you're in drawing brain, you're more like, okay, I got to conjure up something out of my head, put it on paper. It's a different demand. It's not the passive, it's the active. It's not the reactive, it's the creative. So that's my testimony, and I'm sticking to it. And really, again, I'm just kind of going to look for things to round out. You know what I think I might do here, since we are putting shadows here? See if I ruin it or not, but I'm trying to put a little shadow under this wing by dragging ink across. I'm using like hatching lines. They're not showing up completely because they're somewhat dragging themselves under the, or sorry, on the canvas board, which is a little quirky, but let's see what I can do here. And again, I'm sneaking in over with my, trying to keep these little fingers from touching because I don't want to smear the hell out of this. I learned the hard way when I did one of these as a test, and I tried to erase the next day the blue or gray pencil, and it was smeared the line completely because this is a pigment-based ink, and it doesn't dry quickly. If it's like if it was one of those alcohol-based inks like a Sharpie, it seems to evaporate very quickly and stick and dry permanently, which they're designed to do, whereas this ink sits on top and only slowly loses its moisture and hardens, at least on this surface. Like on paper, it would sink right in. In my other drawings, I use Crayola markers because I like the fact that they dry instantly, although they're not waterproof. So you have to be very careful to not get moisture on it. But those are for like faster drawings. I'm getting into more of a shaded look here, as you can see, because hell, it's fun. And this is again the shadow of this wing casting down onto the fuselage diagonally, the light source being up here. So I'm trying to work with that and just bring that in without losing all the detail on this that I put in earlier on this wing. It's very noisy. Get that scritchy, scratchy noise. Did I move? Yes, it's wiggling. All right. So in a few spots here, I want some more black, so I'm actually pushing the marker point into the grooves of this canvas board. I don't know why I create these problems for myself, but like I said, I wanted to draw suddenly. You get that urge, you know? It's like an athlete who needs to move. Some days, like, I realize I'm doing all sorts of other important things, but it's like, well, wait, I haven't been drawing. I think most artists would say that. You just got to sit down and start drawing anything. It's like a bug. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but it's the bug and I got it. All right. Finally are coming to the end of this. And I feel like this would be cool with some color on it to kind of clarify some stuff, but I can do that on the computers. Take a scan or photo of this and add that in. Let's give this more dimension, like it's a unit going across the bottom of that plane. So in this phase, like I said, I'm kind of working around the whole thing. I'm looking at the, I'm stepping back as I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to look at it overall and balance anything out that I feel like it could need. It's not that detailed because, again, this canvas board is giving me a little bit of a challenge to get any kind of detail in there. But in a way, I guess that's good because, like I'm always talking about, it forces you to look at the big picture. So whether this actually succeeded or not, I don't know. But there, that was bugging me. There's an empty space there. And all right. Time to cap the pens. My Micron 08. What have I got here? Like I said, it's a Graphic 3. Didn't even use my ruler. And Batman was watching the whole time. All right, enough wackiness. That was fun. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.